I was 16 the first time I saw them. It wasn't in some dark alley like in the movies. It was just another evening in Tokyo. The streets were crowded. Neon lights flickered above the shops. People rushed to catch the last train home, and the smell of ramen drifted out of small restaurants. To everyone else, it was just a normal night. But that night changed my life. I was walking home from school when a black sedan slowly pulled up beside the sidewalk. The window rolled down. A man in a perfectly pressed black suit looked at me. His hair was slicked back, and a long scar ran across his cheek. "You look like someone who doesn't belong anywhere," he said. I didn't reply. He smiled slightly, like he already knew everything about me. Then he said something strange. "Get in." For a moment, I hesitated. Every part of my mind told me to keep walking, but something inside me was curious. So I opened the door and sat inside the car. That was the moment my normal life ended. The car drove through narrow streets filled with glowing signs and quiet bars. After 20 minutes, we stopped in front of an old building hidden between two restaurants. Nothing about it looked special. But when we stepped inside, everything changed. The hallway smelled like cigarettes and incense. Men in dark suits stood quietly against the walls. No one smiled. No one spoke. We entered a large room where 10 men sat around a long wooden table. All of them wore black suits. All of them watched me carefully. At the end of the table sat the boss. He looked older than the others, maybe in his 50s. His expression was calm, almost peaceful, but the entire room felt heavy with his presence. He didn't speak for a long time. Finally, he asked one simple question. "Why are you here?" I didn't know the answer. Maybe I wanted money. Maybe I wanted power. Or maybe I was just tired of feeling invisible. I told him the truth. I want to matter. The room was silent. Then the boss laughed quietly. Everyone who walks in here says something like that. He leaned forward and studied my face. "You understand something important, though," he said. "People like us don't choose this life. This life chooses us." That night, I joined them. At first, my work was simple. I delivered envelopes across the city. I stood outside clubs late at night, watching the doors. I carried packages without asking what was inside. In this world, questions were dangerous. Weeks passed, then months. I began to understand the rules. Respect the hierarchy. Never speak out of turn. Never betray the family. And above all else, never show fear. Tokyo looked different from this side of life. During the day, the city belonged to ordinary people. Office workers rushing to meetings, students laughing in crowded trains, tourists taking photos under bright neon lights. But at night, the city belonged to us. Behind restaurant doors, deals were made quietly. Inside smoky back rooms, money changed hands. And in dark streets far away from the crowds, problems were solved. One night, the boss finally gave me my first real job. He handed me a small envelope. "Deliver this," he said. "To who?" I asked. He looked at me calmly. "You'll know." The address led me to a quiet street filled with old shops. A man waited outside a closed restaurant. When he saw me, he smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. It was the kind of smile that hides something dangerous. I handed him the envelope. He opened it and counted the money. Then he looked up at me. "You're new," he said. I nodded. He laughed softly. "Be careful," he said. "This city eats people like you." I didn't answer. But later that night, walking alone through Tokyo's glowing streets, his words echoed in my mind. Neon lights reflected in the rain-soaked pavement. Taxis rushed past. Music spilled out of late-night bars. Everything looked normal peaceful, but I knew the truth now. Underneath the bright lights, there was another Tokyo, a hidden world, a world of power, loyalty, and violence. And I was part of it. Sometimes I think about that night when the black car stopped beside me. If I had just kept walking, if I had ignored the man in the suit, my life would be completely different. Maybe I would be like everyone else, working a normal job, living a quiet life. But instead, I chose this path. Or maybe this path chose me. And in this world, there is one rule everyone learns eventually. Once you step inside, you never truly leave.